Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to the School of Personal Finance. My name is Rich McCormick. In this video, we're going to be talking about pensions. So a defined benefit plan, or a pension as we call it, is an amount of money that you're going to be entitled to in retirement that you're going to get each and every month based on how many years you worked at a certain employer and what kind of pension benefits that employer offers. Unfortunately, in 2019, there are not many employers that still offer this defined benefit plan type of retirement account, a pension. Typically, you see it with government employees, with police officers, firefighters, school teachers. Beyond that, it is very hard to come across companies that still offer a pension plan to their employees. And it's unfortunate because what that has done, it has put all of the pressure, all of the stress of saving for retirement on the actual employee, on the person themselves. It's all up to them. So for those of you that still have a pension, you are in a good spot. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the different options that you'll have available to you and how much that pension really will come into play and is worth in your retirement. So if I just use a simple example of a school teacher, like here in New York State, a school teacher, they belong to a certain tier. And all that tier really represents is when they were hired, when they started working. So as time goes on, they start adding new tiers with different benefits and changing how the pension system works. So depending on when you started working, your pension plan might be very different than somebody who starts working this year, right? And typically the benefits are getting worse as time goes on. The earlier tiers have much stronger benefits than somebody who starts working in 2019. But if we look at the pension system for a teacher in New York, so let's say that they've been working for 30 years when they're going to retire. In New York State, that individual would have basically a 60% pension. So when you hit 30 years, you would have 2% for every year that you worked as a pension benefit. So if they go out at $100,000 final average salary, then they would have a pension of $60,000 for the rest of their lives. So now that $60,000 is what we would call a maximum pension. That is the maximum amount that they could get. And the reason that we call it the maximum pension is because there are other options that are available to them that will reduce their pension. If your maximum pension is $60,000, but you want to cover your spouse as well, maybe it will go down to $48,000. And then what that means, if worst case scenario happens where you were to pass away right after you retire, your pension would continue for your surviving spouse and for their entire lives. And now there are many other options as well. So there's like a period certain option where you could say, I wanted my max pension, but I want it to be guaranteed to pay out for at least 10 years. So if something happened to me in year 1, I know that it would at least pay for another 9 years after that. And if you choose that option, then your max pension would be reduced again, but not by as much as if you did 100% survivor option. And you could also do like a 50% survivor option, where instead of them getting, all of your pension for the rest of their lives, they would get half of it. So there are different ways that you could protect your spouse, your beneficiaries, if you want to have a reduced pension. And what some people will do is they will take their maximum pension, which in this example again is $60,000, and they would buy some type of life insurance to kind of, protect them in case the worst were to happen. So it might be a cheaper option if you're in good health to get a life insurance policy and choose the max pension. Like a typical scenario could look something like you take the maximum pension and you buy a 20-year term policy to supplement it. So maybe you get a 20-year term policy for $400,000 so that if you were to pass away in the first 20 years, the pension's going to die with you, but at least your spouse or your beneficiaries would get that life insurance policy money, if you were to die premature. Now, if you work for an employer that offers a pension, I'm sure that I don't have to tell you how important it is to understand how that pension works. For example, with teachers, they get penalized big time if they retire right before they hit certain milestones. So obviously you don't want to retire right before you're going to hit a certain milestone and get penalized big time. For example, when you hit that 20-year period in teaching, your pension benefit goes up to 2% per year. So the last thing you'd want to do is retire at 19 years, where you would get a much reduced pension as opposed to just waiting one more year. So you want to know the nuances, the ins and outs, how your final average salary is calculated. There are different things that you want to really understand before you decide, you know what, I've had enough. I got to get out of this place. I got to retire. You want to make sure that you're on track to at least maximize your pension benefits when you're going to be leaving. Now, in jobs where you don't have any type of pension, where people are saving through 401k plans, alone to save for their retirement, if I save $1 million in my 401k, going by the 4% rule, I would be able to withdraw 4% of that account balance every year, and the odds are that it would last me the rest of my life, no matter what kind of fluctuations we had in the stock market. So it's been back tested through, many, many years and market cycles, and that 4% withdrawal rate, they've showed to be a safe bet as far as how much you could take out every year without running out of money. There are still circumstances where you can, but the 4%, that's considered the safe withdrawal rate. So if we put that into dollar amounts to compare it to a pension, just think about it. I would need to have $1 million to have $40,000 basically as a pension for the rest of my life. So if your pension was going to be $60,000, that's almost the equivalent of having, if we go by the 4% rule, it is the equivalent of having $1.5 million saved in a 403b or a 401k account. So the pensions are extremely valuable. That's not to say that you shouldn't also take advantage of whatever, 401k or 403b account, as long as it has good options and low costs, that you shouldn't take advantage of that as well to supplement your retirement. But the pension is a tremendous benefit to have, and you want to make sure that that you understand it and that you're getting the maximum benefit that you can. All right, that's it for pensions. Hopefully you found that helpful. I wanted to make this one a quick one. If you have any questions, please send me an email. Go to schoolofpersonalfinance.com. You could contact me through there. Subscribe to my email list so I can send you out emails anytime I post a new video or write a new blog post. I will see you again next time. Thanks for watching.